We can save some of this funny shit for blooper reels if you want to. We'll get all that shit worked out.
All right.
But are you ready on your camera?
Yeah, I might be getting old, but I look fucking good in glasses.
I'm just saying, bro. You know what I mean?
Like,
The bald look, that's kind of growing on me. I feel like I look good as a bald guy. I can't wait till I slim down to where I want to. That's going to be great.
Right. Well, since we're on here, okay. Welcome to the Appalachian Parlay.
What's up? So we're trying something super different right now. We are going to record some content for you guys and get it all edited up, nice and pretty for some good footage for you. Right. So first and foremost, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let us know how we can get better, because that's the whole goal. Right. If you're not going to do something to your fullest potential, there's no point in doing it, right?
Right.
So, what's up? How's your week been?
Average, man.
Average is good. I mean, you know what? Average is kind of above average.
Had a good week. Got things accomplished. Went to Moundsville this week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Past the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah. That's up there where they don't know what sweet tea is.
You know, when you they don't eat slaw on their hot dogs.
Weirdos.
Weird, man. You know what? I'll never forget the first time I was in Virginia Beach. It's the first time I was like away from home, alone, and walked into a hot dog stand and said, "Give me 2 hot dogs." And she said, "Well, what do you want on them?" I was like, "Everything." "What's everything?" And I gave her the list: ketchup, mustard, coleslaw, chili, onions. And she's just staring at me, like, and I'm like, ketchup, mustard, chili, slaw, onions? And she's like, "You want slaw and chili?"
Like, dude, we don't have slaw. I don't know, you're in Virginia Beach. That is a southern state. That's coleslaw is a side item with every meal. So they probably had it, but they were probably like, "You're a weirdo for putting slaw on your hot dog." Let's be real, because I thought the same thing, because I'm a transplant from Richmond. So, like, you know, I get it. I completely get it.
And I don't know about you. I despise yellow slaw.
Yeah, no, I'll even take it a step further than that. I despise anything made from cabbage. Like the whole plant. It's kind of like a spider to me. I could literally kill it all with fire and it would never hurt my soul at all. Even the little baby cabbage, the little baby Brussels sprouts, I want to eliminate those from this planet.
You know,
they should not be eaten unless they're covered in butter and Parmesan cheese. Like,
I'll never forget the first time I had a chef look at me and order. Now, I didn't take it weird because it's what the bride wanted. It was on the order form. But I had a chef look at me and say, "I need cauliflower mash, but cauliflower mash." And I said, "What is that?" And he said, "You're going to make mashed potatoes, but you're going to make it with cauliflower."
We've made that several times.
And I made it. And I was like, this is just ridiculous. But as I'm making it, it's my job to season, taste, season. And as I'm making it, I'm just like, that's pretty good. And I worked with it a little bit more, a little more salt, a little more pepper, but it's pretty good. A little more. By the time I'm done, I'm like, okay.
No, I mean, let's clue in the average person that's listening or that could listen to this in the future. Understand that at this point, you probably got like 4 full blocks of butter and salt and pepper out your ass, and maybe even some heavy cream. So take all the health consciousness away from this cauliflower at this point.
Yeah, because I went through
this to get to this point where this man is like, this is okay. This shit has lots of butter in it, dude.
It's like grits.
Yeah. Like, this is not cauliflower anymore. It's mushed butter with some salt.
Right. Right.
Although I can't say, like, not quite as far as cauliflower mash. I've had some cauliflower rice that was pretty good. So sticking in that same theme, but venturing away from that just a minute, the local gossip has it. Keep in mind, I don't have any proof or truth to this, but the local gossip is Chef Dennis is leaving Edgewood. And he's been there forever. I mean, he started off as a freaking dishwasher and, you know, worked his way up and self-educated himself and got his culinary degree and all this other shit. But he's leaving to go Sleepy Hollow in Taze Valley. Apparently, the right below the executive, whether it was the Sue or right below him, has threatened to completely take the kitchen staff and bounce. And so Chef Dennis is like, well, if you do that, then I'll pull my kitchen staff out of Edgewood and completely bounce. So the rumor is, like, Edgewood Country Club is days away, or maybe it's already happened, but their whole kitchen staff is on the verge of leaving and going out to Sleepy Hollow. So Edgewood Country Club is hiring chefs and cooks galore because it's apparently, I don't know, I haven't checked, I don't have any proof of this, just talking to employees that I know, and they were like, yeah, it's legit. Wow. Like, the country club game is being shaken to its core. Because it's the same thing it did at Barry. You know what I mean? When Chef Axe left and Chef Anthony came from Edgewood, he brought his sous chef, he brought a couple of his cooks, he brought the whole catering staff, the GM came from Edgewood.
Yeah, they come in, they abuse the new budget.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
So, you know, but apparently Brandy's doing really well with the club, you know, as far as managing that aspect of it. I don't have, you know, once again, any insider knowledge in that at all, but I do follow Barry Hills on Facebook. Right. So, you know, from Facebook social media appearances, it looks like the club's doing well and everything, but I thought that was interesting, the dynamic of the kitchen staffs at these country clubs, you know what I mean?
Bourdain said it best. If you want to find the modern day pirate crew, you walk into a modern kitchen.
Dude, we had one.
Well, we've had several of these.
We even had the hook hand. We even had the hook hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had the whole concept, like, the country club that we worked at actually rehired the person that stole a 50-pound loin of prime rib on camera, walked out the door with that shit on his shoulder, and rehired him. I'm like, for real? Like, how real? For real? This kind of gives me free roam when I hear shit like that. I'm like, fuck y'all, I'm damn near invincible. Like, shit, I come in every day and do my fucking job. Like, no, y'all can't fire me. Start pounding my chest and shit.
Right.
So anyway. But, so on today's podcast.
Hold up.
Okay. All right. So on today's podcast, we are going to discuss your trip to Washington, D.C. on January 6th, 2020. And, you know, I feel like it's a safe subject to talk about now. Most of the people that have committed any real crimes have made their way through the justice system. From what I understand, there are several that are still being held, you know, unlawfully.
Well, I mean, my side of the thing is, like, you know, everybody wants to talk about what went on in the Capitol, what went on that side of the Capitol. I didn't witness any of that.
Yeah, and
I was in the crowd with the 4 million people.
That's exactly right.
Like, you know, like, I just kind of watched things unfold from this side, from the lawn. You know, there's nothing to charge me with. I didn't do anything illegal. But the vibe that even when other news sources who are supposed to be right-wing talk about it, they only talk about to combat the discussion about what was inside the Capitol and what was, you know, the worst parts of it. It's not like there was a big gleeful side to it. It was cold. If you wanted to be at January 6th, you wanted to be at January 6th. It was cold. And I mean, if you look how people were dressed in the photos, it reflects this. It was cold.
I guess that kind of leads me into my first question for you then, man.
Okay.
So when did you decide that attending this January 6th rally was going to be a necessary action for you, whether as a citizen, a patriot, a person who casted their duly elected election vote, or what was it that made you decide that you have to go?
You know, most people are normal and they went to bed and woke up after all the vote spikes. I was awake. I was wide awake. I was watching it. Because I was like, you know, Trump
So to back it up, you're talking about election night.
election night.
Okay, gotcha.
And I literally watched not an overnight thing. I literally watched the news go from this graph to this graph in a cutscene. It was like, what? California called their votes.
Yeah, and almost all of that spike was for Biden.
California called their votes at 8 o'clock when the polls closed. 8 o'clock our time.
Yeah, which would have been 11 o'clock their time.
Yeah. Their polls closed. They released their results within 15 minutes of poll closings. Like I had questions. And as you know, as time went on, you know, there was a lot of just singular disputes, a lot of odd cases of law changes, there was just like a perfect trifecta. And even Kamala Harris said years ago that electronic voting machines are dangerous. You know, but there was
basically what you're saying is election night. There were some flags that were raised that were enough that warranted extra questioning.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was no on that point in time there was no January 6th rally scheduled.
No.
So
no, I mean I didn't even.
As the time goes on from election night all the way through Thanksgiving holiday. You know, these red flags that you saw on election night are just kind of still lingering with you, and there's no real questions being answered.
None
the media
asked.
is completely acting like this is a normal thing.
Yeah, none being asked.
So your simple red flags on election night have stewed for close to a month at this point.
Not stewed, grown. Like as the month went on.
And you're still not getting any answers. No one's getting any answers.
Here's where I'm always going on about propaganda and social media and how they work both sides. Because even right-wing media just kept giving more questions. It was right-wing media that was constantly going, here's footage of them bringing in boxes of ballots at 2:30.
Yeah.
Hey, here's footage.
Like them evacuating county centers.
Here's interviews. Here's interviews with poll workers who were given just a whole list of complaints. Here's interviews with a lady who, this lady was busted ballot harvesting. This lady was, which is apparently legal. This lady was busted giving out Amazon gift cards outside the. I don't even think that happened. I'm just saying, there was just it was right-wing news that kept adding more questions.
Right.
Nobody. The president was coming out and saying it.
Right. So, anyway, let's get back to the task at hand. We always venture off a subject. We got to learn to stay on task.
I'm 280.
So, you left here on the morning of January 6th?
No, I went up the 5th, got a nice little hotel room.
Gotcha. So, once you left your hotel room, did you leave your vehicle parked there and walk to this event? Was you close enough to do that, or did you have to park somewhere?
I walked down to the subway. I mean, I've lived in Pittsburgh. I've lived in cities. I'm not a dumb hick.
Okay, so you left your car at the hotel parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
Took the public transportation down.
Yeah, rode the subway. It was full of people. Everybody in good cheer. People there weren't angry that day.
Okay, that's pretty much my question.
Yeah, no, people there weren't angry that day.
So when you first arrived, the vibe, the energy was upbeat. It was cool. Like, it was people just
literally
just moving in mass transit and being, as friendly as they can with one another.
Right, and you've been through the videos.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So when I got off the subway and I walked out onto the street.
Which is where?
What was that? I can't remember the name of the subway station.
Okay, but when you got out, when you got back up the street level and you looked out, you were downtown DC, like?
Yeah, I was downtown DC.
Okay, so the subway station's really close to the area.
Yeah. And gotcha. I mean, when I came out of the subway, literally the first thing I heard was a preacher. Like a preacher with a bullhorn. Like, it wasn't like anything like apocalyptic.
So that you don't have to be rejected, but you can be accepted in the beloved. Jesus went into hell so that you can go to heaven.
Or anything like that. And just like the typical Jesus loves you preacher on the corner with a bullhorn.
Right. What was your closest monument at that point in relation to the Capitol? So a couple miles maybe?
Businesses, I'd say it was probably a 5-minute walk to Washington Monument, maybe 10. It wasn't long.
Quarter mile-ish.
Out onto the park, around a couple corners, and I mean, you could see Washington Monument down the street. I'm pretty sure I came out just off of Constitution Boulevard. I would say I was closer to the Capitol than I was to Washington Monument, but they're not far apart from each other.
Right.
So we walked down, well, I was in a crowd of people. I walked down to Washington Monument.
At this point, you already knew where you wanted to be, or were you just kind of hanging out with the crowd?
Where's everybody going?
There's no plan. You're just here. You're going to enjoy the moment.
Now let me just set the obvious straight, because you know me. So before we start talking out the side of my head like I'm doing some bullshit, okay? Okay, well, I ain't Honest Nelson. No, I didn't go there to fight the United States government. You know that ain't going to go well when the National Guard troops start jumping out the back of the truck. They want me. They're down for a fight.
Yeah.
So I don't No, but there was a lot of online rumors. So this is why you've seen people in tactical gear everywhere. There was a lot of online rumors. Like, I mean, before it happened, like, there were 7, 8 Facebook pages. Like, it was very clear. And they all had, like, 700,000 and 1 million people in them. You know what I mean? The government didn't try to suppress this event at all. The way we've seen they can suppress things. They didn't try to suppress this at all. And I mean, it was militias calling out, Oath Keepers calling out, if you want to go, let's go. But there was a lot of words about Antifa and these other leftist groups, that BLM was one of them. But, basically they were going to come try to fight us in the street, because they just didn't want us to protest. So there was a lot of rumor that there was going to be
We know now, fast forward several years, that was gaslighting from
absolutely
some federal agency.
Yeah.
That was just gaslighting.
Yeah, I seen a group so small, I was taunting them.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about that in a minute. But anyway,
and most of the people that were taunting anybody were still wearing your red hat. They were still trying to blend in with people. There was no.
That's what we wanted.
Never even saw any Antifa. There's no way, right?
I saw, like I said, I saw a group so small on my way back to the subway.
This is after the event.
After the event, that I was walking with a crowd of people, and I got out in front of them. I took a cane. One, I was doing a lot of walking. I was on my feet all day on concrete, so I took a walking stick. I took a cane. 2, you can fight somebody pretty good with a cane, especially a good solid wooden one.
Hell yeah.
So, it was defense.
I mean, fat ass penguin used to fuck people up at that.
It was defense. It's a mahogany cane.
Right,
It ain't
it's not
gonna
gonna
break.
break.
So like, you know, I took that with me for a walking stick, and
Right, because you need a walking stick.
So I like stepped out in front of, because dude, when I walk all day, yeah, man,
You need a
my
walking
knees and
stick.
hips get, you know, but I was like out in front of the crowd, like pretending to hobble, going, oh, look at me.
Yeah. Tell me
Lone redneck all by himself.
Tell me how close you are to 50 without telling me how close you are to 50. This motherfucker uses a walking stick.
I always got a walking stick, man. But no, like a lot of people were there in tight gear and stuff like that because there was, you know, a lot of talk of opposing forces. But no, there were none. Like it was peaceful. But like I had goggles because, you know, the pepper spray and stuff like that.
That's understandable.
I went prepared.
Yeah.
But I didn't wear tight gear. You know, I dressed very, you know, I didn't even carry like my backpack with mole. Like I carried my cheap blue book bag. You know what I mean? Like,
Gotcha.
you know. But yeah, I kept very I guess the survivalist term would be gray man, but I wasn't going there for that. Like I was just being a body. You know?
Just in the essence of you accidentally not answering any more of my questions, let me go on to the next question before you stumble on to my next question. So, once you got off of the subway, all right, how long was your walk amongst the crowd to where Trump would eventually hold his rally at, say, 1 p.m. or 2 p.m., whatever time he... Because I know for hours before Trump, he had a whole bunch of supporters speaking.
Yeah,
Like, as soon as you come off the subway, you could hear this in the distance. This was already going on.
No,
Or
actually,
something
the
that's
audio sucked.
But you could hear something where Trump would eventually speak. There was already, the rally had already
The
started.
rally had started. There were, there was a bunch of different things that went on. It wasn't loud.
The crowd that you were going with the flow was heading toward that area.
And everybody went
Gotcha.
to Washington Monument. You know, the Washington Monument yard was where everything was. I seen the QAnon shaman standing in the middle of the street on the way there. He wasn't like talking to people he was talking to people, but he wasn't trying to hand anything out, or he wasn't yelling anything, or
Right.
you know, but he was like waving a flag, but walked right past him. You know, there were people in the street selling Trump flags and T-shirts, and you know, all toboggans were a big seller that day.
Of course, yeah, it's fucking 20.
But no, it was a pretty lax mood, man. I mean, you know, it wasn't crowded.
So basically, I guess that when you got off of the subway, that was your destination. You were going to this Trump rally,
Apparently.
or you were just going with the flow.
I was
you
going with the
personally
flow.
had no intentions of going anywhere specific.
I had no idea. Well, I mean, I was going to the rally.
Because everybody knew that Trump was going to speak,
Yeah.
and everybody knew that there would be 15 people that spoke before him.
Yeah.
So taking your time and just moseying there was...
Right. And I mean, like I said, there were things to see. I mean, you know, there was everything was closed.
It was cold as fuck. You know?
Everything was closed, man. Like there was, like, people were closed.
Yeah, they didn't complain.
No, I mean, everything was closed. Like, dude, you couldn't get a cup of coffee. You couldn't get a sandwich. You couldn't get, everything was closed. All right.
So it wasn't too long of a walk from the subway station to where Trump would eventually speak.
Not at all. Like I said, we were walking, you know, me and the crowd walked to we eventually landed in the Washington Monument lawn. You know what? I'm gonna cut part of that after the pause there. We eventually landed in the Washington Monument lawn. And like I said, we eventually landed in the Washington Monument lawn. And like I said, the audio was horrible. You couldn't hear what the speakers were saying.
Which was probably part of their plan.
Probably, but I mean, dude, when you got there, like, people were happy, people were in good moods. I found the people, like, there was a lot of Chinese immigrants there holding all these "End the CCP" posters and handing out flyers, and they had, like, dude, like, a list of horrific atrocities that the CCP had performed.
Right. Now know they're horrible.
Yeah,
but they're not doing really good.
They're awesome. Yeah, I do. I mean, they're just accusations. Yeah, they're awesome. They're amazing. Like,
probably actually no real Muslim stuff.
I would never say anything on the internet bad about the CCP.
Yeah, fuck that. I would, but I shouldn't. Fuck them. I'm 17,000 miles away.
Holding that social credit score up.
Right. Y'all got people so rich that their money ain't even good outside of the country. Like, how is that rich? You ain't rich. On the verge of economic collapse. I was like,
we're all on the verge of economic.
I was getting ready to say, if they're half of anything like we are, they're damn near on the verge of collapse.
But no, I mean, like, there were.
So do you have a time, do you remember looking at your watch or your phone when Trump finally did actually start speaking?
No.
Okay, so.
No, I'll be honest, like, I mean, you couldn't get any closer to the speakers. It was too crowded. There were people in the trees. There were people, like, I mean, there were people.
And from your perspective, you couldn't hear. Yeah. You could see the speakers and.
Barely. Because I'm not tall.
Right.
Like, I mean, no, the stage wasn't even very high.
You were pretty far back?
You could see, just pretty far back. You could see the top of the stage. But there were people all the way back to the Washington Monument. And what I found weird was, and I hope I don't go into any of your questions, but there were spurts of groups. There were spurts of groups, may have been actual militia members, oath keepers from other states.
Well, like, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, and I probably should have, knowing we were going to cover this subject. That's something that I'm going to learn as we go along. But out of the, would you say 4 million? 4 million people that attended the rally?
3 to 4.
They arrested to a couple thousand. So we're talking a very small fraction of actual people breaking down doors and punching cops versus the people that were there as a peaceful rally to support their president.
Right. I mean, the picture of people that I took from the top of the wall, which is as close to the Capitol as I got, jumped up on the wall and snapped a picture all the way back to Washington Monument and jumped back off. And this is before anything crazy even started happening.
What wall are you talking about?
The wall that goes around the Capitol.
Okay.
You know, like, it's only like knee high. It's not a high wall. It's like waist high. But I jumped up on that wall before any craziness happened, like, just to get a picture, because you could see people all the way back to the Washington Monument, because they were still flooding out of the Washington Monument area to take the wall when people were already, like, dude, there were so many people. So I got that picture. And then I went back down and, but dude, it was an odd presence. Like I said, you couldn't even hear the speakers. When Trump spoke, I was watching it live on YouTube, and internet signal was weird.
Yeah, they probably dimmed that down too.
Yeah, like, you couldn't really get good 4G.
Yeah.
Like, it was weird, but I watched the speech live on YouTube.
Right. So basically, from your perspective at that point, so you could probably either see the top of Trump's head or just the top of the stage. You knew he was speaking because he was live on YouTube. At that point, you look to your left, right, wherever is the U.S. Capitol. Like, how far away? Like, which Which
The
way?
Washington Monument was behind me.
At that point, the monument's behind you.
The stage was up here, and the Capitol was that direction down Constitution.
Off to your left.
Which is...
You can see it from your perspective. You can see the Capitol.
Not really.
Okay.
No. I mean,
It's a decent walk from
Maybe,
the route
like,
to the
yeah,
Capitol.
yeah.
It's a decent walk.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, you can't see it. So
I'd say that's a 10 to 15 minute walk,
it's a
actually.
good walk then. That's like a mile, maybe.
Yeah, it's down the way.
I can walk a mile in 13 minutes, and I'm pretty fat.
It's down the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And I mean,
Did you feel, that kind of leads me into my next question. So with you not being able to hear Trump speak, you could watch him on YouTube on your phone, but you couldn't hear him.
Rumble.
Okay, so you couldn't really hear anything he was saying specifically. Did you feel a visible or an audible shift in the rally's views and vibes at any point during what you thought was Trump speaking? I mean, you were watching him live on YouTube, so even though you couldn't hear him, you could hear him on your phone, or you would just watch
yeah,
him?
you can hear it. I can.
Okay. Gotcha.
I had to do it.
So you're listening to Trump's speech on your phone, and did you
A
feel?
few minutes behind. No, like people
Because I'm trying
people
to.
were interactive
What I
with
want
the
to do is I
speech.
want people that watch this to build some sort of timeline.
Yeah.
Because you listen to mainstream media, and you're going to hear them say that Donald Trump incited this, whereas there's evidence and reports that the people that actually initially breached the Capitol left the rally area several minutes beforehand. So I was wondering if you felt any shift in the vibe when those people had finally got irate enough to go and do what they did.
No, like it's weird. Like the weird thing is that there were insiders in the crowd. Yeah, this is strictly at the well, I'm sure it was going to. This is just the Washington Monument. They were like I was getting ready to get into. There were groups, and they were dressed like militia groups, and they'd come up with their big "Don't Tread on Me" flags.
I would say just dressed in militia, like
Yeah.
no Proud Boy logo, or
No,
they were one militia group or the other.
No.
So that
No, they would have
because a militia group wants you to know who the fuck they are.
Well, first off,
So
if you come up to me and you're 12 deep and you're all young with good equipment,
you instantly
and
just
in
let me at me, motherfuckers.
you're all in shape, none of y'all, no.
Because we found out in Michigan with the kidnapping of the government that they had to have 12 agents just to get 4 dummies. You know what I'm saying? You know, we know how deep y'all motherfuckers roll.
Right. You showed up here 7 deep, all y'all got big beards, I mean, all of y'all.
And you all match.
You're all in shape. You all match. Your boots look like your boots are new. Feds. But I mean, and they were
making noises.
and they were coming up in the crowd in groups, and they were all giving these Greta Thunberg fucking speeches. Are you gonna let them take our country from us? We gotta stand up today. We gotta take our country back. I mean, and like, still, the mood of the people around them were like,
yeah, go ahead, dummy. Get the fuck out the way.
yeah.
Right. So
I mean, you would get the 2 or 3 people around him that'd be like, he's right. But what do we do?
eat my corn dog. Go fuck on, bro.
Yeah, like still, nobody was, and I mean, it's the same thing. You've seen in videos with Mr., we won't say his name because he's crazy, but, you know, the one guy that everybody wanted to know about.
Yeah.
And, he, like, when he said it, everybody around him was like, you know what I mean? Like, that's Antifa breaking them windows over there. Why don't you know, like, I mean, like, you've heard the people who were smart enough
Yeah.
to call shit out. So, I mean, But like,
So basically, their gaslighting skills weren't working
not at all.
overall. I'm sure that they selected one or two that ended up following them.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's several in every group that's very easily manipulated, and they got a few followers out of that group, or just passing through talking shit. So that makes sense.
Yeah. But
So,
I mean, like the guy who was who did it closest to me was just so over dramatic that it was just like, this guy's putting on for some reason. Like, I mean, I called it out immediately. I was like, this dude's not, like, this is weird. You know, like, you know, his guys are standing around him like they're Spartans, and I'm just like, guys, like, I've met militia groups before, and
Yeah, y'all got some kind of insignia because they want people to know who
it's
they are.
not the insignia.
The dudes that were going through the fucking crowd in a very organized fashion that you see on TV, those dudes had like insignia on their fucking vest. They were very letting you know that they were with that particular militia, who I'm not going to give any of them any clout,
No.
but you watch the video, you know who the fuck they were. Part in that crowd, you could tell.
Right.
They either had some experience
Right.
or they were a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Right.
Because they were part in that crowd like professionals. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hand on your shoulder, hand on your buddy's shoulder in front of you.
But again,
all 10 of you cut that crowd all at the same time. I've seen it before.
again,
That's a military tactic.
it is.
So that could be militia.
No militia group is going to do that in a crowd
Could be
of
an alphabet
civilians.
agency.
You're going to scare them. You
Could be an
can't.
alphabet agency.
It probably is, especially the ones in khakis and polo shirts. Definitely. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were like, "You're right," but like, no, like, hang on a second. We'll pause. But yeah, so when he says, so in this video, you know, when he says, you know, go to the Capitol, you can make out go to the Capitol, or you can make out the rest of it.
I mean, listen to the speech at home. We know and understand that he said, go to the Capitol and peacefully let your voices be heard, or something. You know, I don't know the exact words.
Right, and I mean, he yelled. Like, I mean, when he got on stage, he talked like he knew this audio was bad. He talked from the diaphragm. You know, you could make out 80% of what he was saying. But still, at no point was the demeanor of the crowd angry. People were concerned. Hell, let's be honest, half of these people didn't even, if you sat down and had a real conversation with them about the constitutional path and whether or not Mike Pence could even slow down the vote, none of them, 90% of these 4 million people couldn't have a real logical civics conversation with.
Because people that don't know. You have to be a constitutional scholar to really break that down.
Right.
From a layman's perspective, I don't think that's a power the vice president has.
It technically, though,
But-
it is, but
And from looking at it hindsight, it should have been as soon as he realized or he thought that there was election interference, election fraud, whatever he was going through his mind, he should have instantly picked up the phone and had Bill Barr appoint special counsel to open an investigation, because then no one can interfere with that investigation.
Right.
He just lost the election, so he should have appointed a special counsel to start that investigation.
Oh, absolutely.
Because then we would know more, I think. You know what I mean? But that's hindsight. That's me and you talking 3 years after the fact.
I can do this all day. Just keep going.
So, yeah, I could too normally, but I got to try to find that swing from the old lady. That's all she wanted for her birthday, so I'm going to make sure she gets it.
Rural King.
I'm going to go have it. But there's a farmer's market that sits on top of the hill from Milton Flea Market. It's like halfway market or something like that. Lady at Home Depot told me she got one up there for less than $300. Had like cup holders in it, and a little table in between 2 chairs.
Nice.
Wooden. Yeah, I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna drive up there and check that out. Because they got this cheap ones at freaking Lowe's and like $200, and it's just like metal. It almost looks like a swing set for a kid, but it's just got a swing in it.
Right.
That shit looks cheap.
Yeah. That's not a porch swing.
Me and Brandy together, we some big people, man. Y'all better stop making this shit so cheap.
We're about to some nice chains.
You ship shit to West Virginia, it better be made of steel. All this cheap ass aluminum shit. We breaking that shit.
And you better hold. I swing. I don't sit in the swing.
Right. Dude, I have to cautiously sit in the hammock. Because that motherfucker says max weight is 250. And I'm like, it's over that. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta like creep into the hammock. I'm like,
just hold. Just hold.
A little bit longer. Sliding down the tree a little bit. You're like, uh-oh. Okay,
You can hear the ropes.
we're good. So anyway, from your perspective, it didn't appear, the video you just showed me, it didn't appear like the majority of the crowd was influenced by these gaslighters at all. So according to mainstream media and the way they showed it on TV, the riot at the Capitol occurred after the Trump speech.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we know now that these people that actually breached the Capitol left the rally long before Trump was done speaking.
Oh well, it's not even that. And that's not it. Let's correct this. That's a good place to correct something. No, in my experience.
Yeah, we're only talking about your perspective.
In my experience, the crowd hung out. The crowd hung out, and we listened to the Trump speech.
But when the Trump speech was over with, he said, go to the Capitol. And so the crowd starts moseying that direction.
Yeah, and it was 3.5 to maybe 4 hours between the Trump speech and the incident at the Capitol.
No way, bro.
Yes. No. Yes. Oh,
So you're telling your timeline's not going to fit right there, because I was watching this shit on TV, and at 3:00 in the afternoon, the Capitol was under siege, bro.
The speech was
The speech was over at 2:30.
No.
I'm telling you, because
dude. There's no way, because
the rioters were still in the Capitol.
No, there's no way, because after the speech, no, because I was hungry and thirsty by this point. After the speech, everybody moseyed down to the Capitol. And I mean, when I got down to the Capitol, I had time I walked in the crowd. I mean, I hit my blunt walking down there. Like, it took me 25 minutes just to mosey my ass down to the Capitol. And when I got down to the Capitol, the yard was still empty. Dude, when I got down to the Capitol, there was nobody really there yet. Like, the yard was still empty. There's the famous gallows with the orange rope in the background that said, do not destroy, on the little sign underneath it, with a rope with a rope around it. Do not destroy. It was a piece of art with an orange rope on it. That wasn't built by somebody there. Why did it have orange rope on it? But when I got down to the Capitol, there was it wasn't crowded yet. And then I walked up and got into the crowd of the Capitol.
Motherfucker.
And dude,
okay, so
hold up, because we weren't in. Let me
go ahead, and I'm gonna use your source, man. Like right here on Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
At noon, Trump began over 1 hour speech encouraging protesters to march at the U.S. Capitol. At 12:49 p.m., Capitol Police responded to reports of an explosive device later identified as a pipe bomb. 19 minutes before Trump ended his speech, rioters overran the perimeter of the Capitol building. At 2:44 p.m., a Capitol police officer inside the Speaker's lobby adjacent to the House chambers shot and fatally wounded rioter Ashley Babbitt. 2:44 p.m., these people were already in the Capitol building.
The crowd on this side of the building had no idea yet.
At noon, Trump began over a 1-hour speech. At 12:49, Capitol.
That speech lasted an hour.
It says 49. It says at 12:49. Oh, it says at noon, Trump began over 1-hour speech. But at 12:50, Capitol Police is already responding to an explosive device.
Okay, and at 2:44.
So, but if you follow this timeline, 19 minutes before Trump's speech ended, that would make it 12:35.
Yeah.
They shot Ashley Babbitt. So this riot occurred long before because Trump even got on stage. They were already assaulting police.
So we're going to pretend. No,
this is Wikipedia.
No, wait.
Let's understand.
Let me
People can
digress.
edit this shit.
Hold up, because let me digress. Because like I said, this was 3 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
I smoked a lot of weed.
Yeah, no, memories are not perfect. That's why I had to look it up.
But
The timing is important.
as far as being in the crowd, so this is an easy thing for me to remember.
You got timestamps on that?
Yes. That's 1:35.
Okay.
This is 1:35. Now, do you see this? This is this white here
Yeah.
on the side of the Capitol. Okay. Okay, so the tarp around the bleachers that they had set up with tarp over
For the inauguration.
right? Okay, is a good timeline. Is a good example of a timeline. Because you see here, there's nobody up on the steps yet, and there's nobody. You know what I mean? There's nobody up here. Everybody is still.
See the guy out there with the flash?
Yes, there's a guy. Now they were starting to shoot flashbangs and tear gas into the crowd. The crowd had not moved forward yet.
So
The crowd, but you see the crowd here?
when you're filming this, there are rioters already inside the Capitol?
Apparently, but nobody knew. That wasn't something the crowd was aware of.
Right.
We had just gotten there. All we had was this guy up here.
Is the timestamp when you started filming?
Yeah.
Okay, so
This guy
35,
up
just now
here.
getting there.
Yeah, this guy up here on this pedestal is saying move forward through a megaphone.
Right now, at this point, when you're filming this, he's saying that shit. But you can't really hear it.
Not in this one.
Can't really hear him on the bullhorn. But if they're shooting flashbangs into the crowd, then that would assume that some perimeters have already been breached at this point.
Well, when we breach perimeters, you know it.
You don't
Because
know
when the
that.
perimeters get breached, the police retreat. We'll get there.
Right, okay.
So, did you hear that?
Move forward.
That's that guy up here.
Out there with the
Move forward. He's up here. That's this guy up here. Nobody's asked who this guy up here chanting move forward is and why the FBI didn't drag move forward guy. Why the Secret Service and Capitol Police didn't drag move forward guy with the megaphone clean off of that tower like a bad episode of Pops. like literally, like if anybody in this crowd is inciting anything,
out there with
it's Mr. Move Forward.
So I wonder, like, where the line is. That would be cool to know.
Now, this one's one I will definitely make sure is visible, and this is the one from the other video. Now, don't want to make any accusations, but if you pay close attention to this video, you're going to hear the crowd being they're chanting, I guess, still, when you hear the chanting in the vibe, it's not angry so much. It's like somebody got them to start chanting every time, dude. I'll be honest, and I'm saying this as a conservative. I've never stood in a bigger crowd of sheep. If one person bad, everybody bad with them. It was really an interesting social experiment of an environment. But this flashbang was shot at head level and explodes at head level, and it kills a guy. And the crowd suddenly just shuts up. It's an interesting video. Because they talked about how the crowd pushed forward. Well, if you're shooting tear gas and flashbangs at head level, where are they going to go?
Right.
But, and I think I played that video in the other one. And I'll
So that kind of leads me into the one, kind of one of the last questions that I have, because the video that you're going to show is, it answers the second part of this question, is where were you in relation to the Capitol once you realized that chaos had ensued? And your video very clearly shows that you were a couple hundred yards from the front of the Capitol, right in the front. So, when did you feel a visible shift in the crowd's demeanor? People started turning away. Innocent people started walking back to their car. Like, where is somebody? When did this happen? When do you?
Somebody came through and started talking about, we've breached the Capitol. What?
So somebody's walking through the crowd giving you this update. At this point in time, you don't know this.
Right. Somebody's already been killed. We've breached the Capitol.
Apparently.
Yeah.
It's already been killed.
And I mean, I heard I at one point, because the crowd, you know how mosh crowds are. The crowd did push me up, all the way up to that wall again I was at the first time, because people come in behind, people move out of the front, people come in behind.
Yeah.
And
you had to get out of the rip current. And
and I got a little claustrophobic, so I jumped over that wall just for a second, got out of the crowd, and I got up on the wall, and I looked around, and I gathered my beans, and was like, I'm going down there. Right, there's a lemonade vendor that you could see, and I was like, you know what, I'm thirsty. As I'm saying that, I hear ching ching, and I look down, and there's a gas can just landed, and this girl was standing right next to it, and I jumped off the wall, kicked that gas canister, grabbed her, took her over the wall, and just got her in the right direction, and then I took off and got out of there, because, dude, that new stuff ain't no fun.
Right.
That ain't the stuff they hit us with in boot camp. That's some other shit. But I mean, dude, they were giving out the tear gas freely. Like the people who ended up, and dude, I mean, the police would just back up, and then finally they left. There was a guy dressed like Donald Trump in a wig, walking around up where the Capitol Police were, with the Capitol Police standing there. There's a lot of odd instances.
Oh yeah, it's like the video that resurfaced where it showed the Capitol Police just walking the QAnon shaman through the Capitol.
They kept us entertained on this side. Just entertained. Enough to keep us entertained. But when I really, when they came through and they were talking about what was going on inside the Capitol, I was like, time to go back to it. Dude, I'll be honest. It was getting late. This was 4 o'clock. I got back to my hotel room and turned on the TV and couldn't believe what I was looking at. But I'm pretty sure, they were Pitt certified the vote. Pitt certified the vote.
Yeah, it was after 7, 8 o'clock at night when they finally had the Capitol cleared. And
but dude, it was 4 or 5. I was hungry. I went back to the car. We had no idea what we were. The guy came through the crowd and was some stuff went on inside the Capitol. Somebody got killed, and the crowd, as he would say that, people would be like, I'm getting out of here.
But being out in the crowd, there's no way you knew really the details of what was really going on.
I was on the other side of the building. I wish I'd have been there. If I'd have seen somebody kicking on the door of my Capitol, I probably would have beat on him myself. I would have been in jail for assault on the sidewalk.
Yeah. We probably wouldn't be having this conversation either.
No. But it was pretty surreal. When I got back to the hotel room and turned on the TV and saw what had went on at the Capitol, I was like, no. But even when you looked at it on the TV, it looked like a tour. I mean, did that 75-year-old woman with glasses and the mailbox flag, did she kick down the door of the Capitol today? Like, did she pull a full Sparta? Enough is enough! I mean, now do with the gun. You're a fucking moron. Not because you went in the Capitol with a gun, because you came downtown Washington, D.C.,
with a gun,
with a sidearm, and then waltzed up in the Capitol, and then waltzed up into not a congressperson's office, the Speaker of the House's office.
After this interview / podcast that we just did, I make it very clear to anybody that watches this in the future, from my perspective, if you broke windows, doors, you destroyed public property, you deserve everything that you get.
If you went on a guided tour,
there are people that are being detained that their crimes are being overblown.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, you went on a guided tour of the Capitol, and now you're...
Yeah. I'm not saying if you went inside the Capitol, you should be prosecuted, but that's what it appears, that anybody that actually breached, that anybody that went inside the Capitol got charged with something.
The average American is not foul-hearted.
No, I don't think it is, but that's what they want you to believe.
Yeah, but the people that were there that day, nobody was, people were prepared to have to fight Antifa, and I tell you what, if Antifa would have showed up with a crowd and gave them a bite, they probably would have fought them. I don't have any kind of question in that. People were ready for Antifa to show up that day, but nobody wanted to go. The suggestion in the crowd was not at any point that anybody wanted to go up in there and have, destroy our government or overtake or overthrow our government. Nobody wanted.
It was days after January 6th, maybe a week or two tops, but the FBI came out and said that there was no insurrection very quickly.
Right.
Because insurrection is basically an organized plot to overthrow the government.
Right.
And they could not find any evidence.
Did you see where they destroyed all the Jan 6 evidence?
The commission destroyed all of their evidence. Yes. Which that doesn't mean anything. The only thing that means is that you can recall those witnesses and have another, hearing.
Right.
You know what I mean? But every one of them, and even if you're out of office, you better hold every one of them in contempt of Congress.
Right.
Just like the way they did Steve Bannon, you know what I mean? They better hold every one of them.
Right.
Because you broke a direct order from the speaker. So every one of them should be brought up on charges. Which, let's be real, I can go and lie to Congress right to their fucking face, and the only thing they can do is charge me with a freaking misdemeanor of lying to Congress, which is like 60 days in jail. You know what I mean? And that's why you see the director of Homeland Security or the director of the FBI or Merrick Garland, they just won't answer questions because you don't scare me. Same way with a lot of Republicans. Steve Bannon did his 60 days for standing on his fucking head.
He did.
You know what I'm saying? He did. He was like, fuck, I ain't worried about y'all.
Do you know what kind of prison they go to?
Misdemeanor. Misdemeanor. They don't even hardly do jail time, probably. They're sitting there with a golf course and a buffet.
Right. Right. No prisons are different.
Right. That's a bed. So... anyway, man, that's for our first interview. I think that was pretty good. We'll see what it comes out in editing.
Right.
As usual, anybody that watches this, comment, like, share, subscribe so we can build this channel. We will do our best to answer your comments. Maybe even here in a week or so, we'll do a live and answer some questions or something.
Right.
We'll figure it out. But the viewer is what helps us grow this channel, and we will get better at this craft as we go along.
Absolutely.
So, till next time, guys.
Welcome to the parlay.
See ya.
See you later. There's questions. I have questions. There's questions to have questions to. Why is nobody even asking questions? And I